as we Helldivers fight for managed democracy, freedom, and our way of life throughout the galaxy against fascist bugs and socialist robots. Sometimes, we can't help but wonder, despite our awe-inspiring patriotism, how all of this explosive madness started. In this video, with tooltips and dialogue from both Helldivers 1 and 2, along with developer story posts, we'll be exploring the universe and surprisingly fun lore of Helldivers. Now answer your questions about what exactly is going on when we drop feet first into Hell to liberate a planet. Sometime in the early 21st century, humanity underwent a so-called Great War on Earth, which resulted in the dominant supremacy of a single world government that established the regime of the Federation of Super-Earth. We can assume that October 26, also known as Liberty Day, celebrated by the citizens of Super-Earth, was the date of the founding of the human planetary government. Crackdowns by the Super-Earth government with its governing arms such as the Ministry of Truth, Ministry of Intelligence, or Ministry of Defense on political dissidents after the war led to an even firmer hold on the affairs of Earth. Based on dialogue with the crew of our destroyers, citizens are encouraged to even turn in their family members or friends if they suspect that their loved ones are anti-war, anti-Super-Earth, or suspected to be sympathetic towards humanity's enemies, such as the Terminate bugs or the socialist automatons. Even seemingly small offenses such as not saluting the Super-Earth flag or questioning the government's decisions can be prosecuted under the law. More than likely, such offenses lead to being re-educated or prison time, while the more seriously perceived offenses such as anti-war activism could lead to public executions that are broadcast all over the Super-Earth network. Even we Helldivers, the elite spearhead of Super-Earth's military, are not exempt from such prosecutions, as some Helldivers have been accused of being alien sympathizers and summarily executed in the past by the military. As one can guess, the culture and ethos of Super-Earth is quite corpo-fascist and military-focused. Every citizen is issued a M2016 Constitution bolt action rifle at the age of 16, so as to be encouraged into entering military service. Presumably, like one of its inspirations, Starship Troopers, the citizens of Super-Earth must enter into type of government service one way or another to attain benefits or citizenship privileges. Indeed, according to one of our crew members in Helldivers 2, there are different levels of citizenship for those of Super-Earth to progress through, and that one such privilege to be gained at a certain level is pet ownership.
I'm hoping to raise my citizenship level by the time I retire. If I ever have kids, I'd want them to be able to purchase a small pet someday, like a goldfish, or even a hamster.
Super-Earth citizens are also required to fill out what are called C1 child permits so that they can legally reproduce children should they wish to have kids. Corporations and self-defense development companies are given financial priority by the Federation and government of Super-Earth. It seems every aspect of civilian and military life is strictly regulated, which in turn is largely aided by the existence of the Galactic White Web, which is heavily monitored by Super-Earth government branches. While incredibly advanced to the point that transmissions via Galactic White Web can be received or sent in a variety of scenarios from deep space, no matter the distance using quantum devices, the GWW can have significant delays based on the work of surveillance officers who sift through all the data for signs of dissidents or traitors. The Galactic White Web is also used for Super-Earth's so-called managed democracy, in which citizens must answer several unspecified questions that determine who or what their vote goes towards. This managed democracy voting is only possible with computer voting software and algorithms built on the foundation of the GWW. Sometime in the early 2030s, humanity managed to invent an Alab Drive. The Alab Drive worked by creating a wave in the fabric of time and space, distorting time and space around ships so humans could reduce travel time of hundreds of thousands of light years into moments. Around the year 2044, the Super-Earth government, after commencing deep space missions, made peaceful contact with extraterrestrial life forms, which consequently led to 40 years of an intergalactic war, also known as the First Galactic War. The official reason given by the government was that the non-human factions wanted the total annihilation of the human species, and that it was they who started the intergalactic war that lasted up until about the year 2084. Perhaps the biggest political reason for Super-Earth's Federation and government continuing these wars is to keep power and control over humanity. After all, it's a regular theme in both human history and science fiction that a common enemy often unites different groups of humans, or existential warfare can lead to a lot more shooting and ask questions later scenarios. While it's not completely clear what happened in the 2040s, we can make educated guesses based on environmental storytelling when we Helldivers fight the enemies of managed democracy. It's important to note here that Helldivers 2 takes place 100 years after the events of Helldivers 1, which had resulted in Super-Earth claiming victory over Terminids, the cyborgs, and an advanced alien species known as the Illuminates, or Squith, who we liberated actual faster-than-light travel technology from, along with other advances in human technology. Things were so peaceful in the time period known as the Great Democratization that the entire branch of Helldivers was officially dismissed and deactivated by Super-Earth's government and military until the events of Helldivers 2. The bugs, or Terminids, are sentient and intelligent extraterrestrial species that resemble the insects or arachnids of Earth, though much bigger in size. During the events of Helldivers 1, it wasn't clear how this species spread throughout the galaxy, settling on different planets, though it's heavily implied by Helldivers 2 in the mission dispatches that Terminids somehow spread using spores through space. The Terminids were declared war upon mainly for the fact that their decomposing bodies convert into a resource called Element 710 or E710, which we Helldivers have been sent to procure on Terminid-infested planets. The fact that Super-Earth basically depends on the farming of Terminids for this resource, which coincidentally fuels the same faster-than-light travel technology humanity now possesses, results in a vicious cycle of containing, slaughtering, and breeding Terminids who are more than just angry at this point for being treated as cattle. Indeed, the recent Terminid outbreaks were due to Terminid farms being broken out of by the species on planets that possessed civilian populations. The usage of Terminid corpses as a resource may be why when we Helldivers are sent on missions to cull the Terminid populations by destroying the eggs in their hatcheries, suspiciously, the amount of eggs we need to destroy during our missions and the 1 or 2 eggs left over at each hatchery after the missions have been fulfilled indicate the nefarious motive of humanity needing to keep the Terminids alive and not actually extinct as much as the propaganda wants you to believe. As for the automaton robots, curiously enough, these are not the same enemies we encountered 100 years ago during the first Intergalactic War, although they are using the same emblem used by the enemy cyborg faction headquartered on a desolate frozen planet called Cyberstan in the 21st century. Super-Earth colonists sent out to Cyberstan as miners had ended up revolting against Super-Earth, timing their rebellion at the same time as a declaration of war on the Terminids. The cyborg secessionists had also carried out a terrorist attack on Super-Earth's District 48, which apparently killed 8 citizens, although later propaganda would say it was thousands of civilians who had died. The cyborgs were of course still humans who had cyberware implants and merely disputed the control of Super-Earth over humanity, championing the red star of their movement. Super-Earth periodically suppressed the cyborgs, who are often depicted as socialists, by forcing them to integrate into managed democracy or perform forced labor in the forges and mines of the Super-Earth construction company. By the year 2148, the cyborgs seem to have disappeared, although the automatons, fully mechanized beings instead of cyborgs, have taken up the banner of Cyberstan. More than likely, these automatons are the same cyborgs who have fully transitioned to being completely cyberized into machines, rather than being a mix of flesh and metal. What they want is unclear as of now, apart from fighting the Super-Earth government and staving off its Helldivers. For those far away from the warfront, they are used by both government and parents as boogeymen who steal children from innocent citizens. Lastly, the third and most mysterious enemy faction of Super-Earth was, and maybe is, the Illuminate, or as these aquatic species call themselves, the Squith. Although they possessed superior technology and weaponry during the events of the 21st century, the Illuminate seemed to prefer peace over war and avoiding the usage of weapons too destructive to life. Unfortunately for them, Super-Earth declared war on them for supposedly possessing weapons of mass destruction or nanofusion devices that could be used against humanity. While the warfront with the Illuminate seesawed back and forth, eventually, humanity in their democracy-loving ways prevailed over the alien race. As mentioned, humanity gained faster-than-light travel technology from their battles with the Illuminate, who primarily used nanotechnology and bioelectric equipments. But other technologies like the shield generator pack, the arc thrower, or even planet-killing weapons were gained once the Illuminate were forced to turn over their weapons technology. As far as what happened to the Illuminate aliens, they seem to have disappeared with no sightings reported in areas they previously frequented for the past century. However, it's suspicious the Terminid outbreak and the automaton invasions are happening at the same time, which may be owed to either direct interference from the Federation of Super-Earth government, which has mandated the construction of exosuits again on the planet of Tianquan, or Perhaps it may be the Illuminate aliens seeking retribution for their humiliating concessions a century ago. And that's all the lore we have for you Helldivers today. Hopefully, this video gave a greater context as to what's going on in the universe of Helldivers as we fight for democracy and liberty. I quite enjoyed delving more into the details of the lore. There's definitely a good blend of satire and inspired stories from other franchises like Halo, Warhammer, and such that satisfied my lore seeking. If you want more lore, definitely subscribe to the channel and check out my other lore videos on other games. Until next time, stay safe out there for the sake of freedom.